Good morning, y'all, and welcome to the 425 show. Apologies for the lighting here. I am coming to y'all live from the Denver airport on my way home from Sands CloudSec Next. But we have an incredible show for y'all today about global prompt books within Copilot for security. As always, if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A section. Because we do have a full house of several speakers, I'm going to hold all the questions till the end. I'll answer some in the chat as well as they come up, but we'll be able to bring all of our speakers on for those questions at the very end. So with that, I want to introduce our first speaker, Mamta Kumar, who's my colleague on the Copilot for Security team within the Entra skill set. So take it away, Mamta.
Thank you, Bailey. Hi, my name is Mamta Kumar, and I'm a product manager in the customer experience Entra engineering team, focusing on Copilot for Security in Entra. Over to you, Patrick.
Great, thanks, Mamta. So I am Patrick David. I am on our customer experience team focusing on Microsoft Purview. I focus on Copilot for Security and Purview, and excited to be here today to talk to everyone. So with that, I'll pass it over to Amit.
Hey folks, good morning. This is Amit speaking to you live here from lovely Redmond, Washington. I'm a product manager within Microsoft Intune team, focusing on Copilot for Security and the Intune experiences specifically, and doing a lot of the Intune work alongside with it. I'm super excited to be here and be able to speak to you. Over to you, Dana.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here with you. I'm Dana from MDI, Microsoft Defender for Identity. I'm a product manager for Copilot in the team. Back to you, Mamta.
Thank you, Dana. So today we'll discuss prompt books in Copilot for Security. We'll define what prompt books are and dive into their benefits. So let's get started. Let's dive into the agenda. First, we'll talk about Copilot for Security, prompts in Copilot for Security, what makes an effective prompt, and how you can get better responses with well-written prompts. Next, we'll dive into prompt books, what they are and what they can do for you. After that, we will cover the technical requirements to use global prompt books, such as enabling the solution, the Copilot for Security permissions you will need, and the security product RBAC permissions you will also need. We'll then look under the covers into the entity investigation in Defender. After that, we will dive into one of our favorite topics that we hear from many of our customers, automation. We will share a few examples of how you can build automation using Logic apps. And then we have our go-tos on what you can do next to get started and try this out for yourself. So let's get started. Over to you, Amit.
Thank you so much, Mamta. Once again, good morning, folks. Diving a little bit in introducing Copilot for Security, it is the first generative AI security product to help defend organizations at the speed and scale of AI. The interest and excitement that we've seen actually from customers has been amazing. It's been phenomenal, and everybody is super pumped and excited to be able to try this. Copilot for Security combines the most advanced GPT-4o model from OpenAI with Microsoft developed AI orchestration, and it's powered by Microsoft Security's unique expertise, the global threat intelligence data that we have, and various different comprehensive security products. The product itself is generally available today, and we're constantly innovating, adding more capabilities, learning from customers, and delivering more value. Now, Copilot for Security, what does it do? It really helps security analysts and IT professionals to be more effective and efficient at all the roles that they play. It helps you and enhances and grows your capabilities and skills while also supporting the various different workflows that you and your teams would need to collaborate to solve various different organizational, operational, or security challenges. The one thing that it does really good is it closes the gap between the human and machine, leveraging a language narrative that we understand. It could be the language that you speak, not necessarily English, and that's really important. And the design of the language tool itself just basically does not expect you to know specific semantics of data sets or a specific schema, just like a programming language. So that's the coolest thing that it offers today. You can inquire different endpoints. You can ask questions, regardless of the management system, like whether you're doing Intune, you're doing Entra, you're doing Purview and whatnot. And we'll dive into this slightly more in the upcoming slides. You can also understand the blast radius of an incident based on various different user entities and the data risk associated with them without actually knowing Purview and the intricate details that come with the technology. It also reduces the barrier for entry to information domains and unifies the experience for all of us and gives you best of the breed experience. Mamta, could we please move to the next slide? Thank you. So the one thing that I also wanted to call out is you will see over here, Copilot for Security is at the center of our expansive portfolio of products, right? So Microsoft today is in a unique position to lead the shift in security, and not just based on our investment in generative AI, but also because of the various different products that we essentially offer from within the security landscape. So when we announced this initially, we kind of started with the stock use cases, which was powered by data from Defender, Sentinel, and Intune, and slowly expanded our use cases beyond and added more in Entra, Intune, Purview, and brought Copilot for Security and the power of generative AI to actually support more capabilities and scenarios and use cases. And we're going to walk through one of those use cases today by leveraging Promptbooks as we go through today's session. Now, regardless of whether you're an IT admin, you're a security expert, or you're a SOC analyst, or you're a data governance persona, you will find immense value and a quick engagement experience through Copilot for Security across your product. It also powers the in-product embedded experiences that allows the administrators to experience Copilot capabilities from within the product consoles themselves. More about that in a future session for sure. Mamta, if you could move to the next slide, please. So the next question you might be thinking, this guy is talking so much about the product. How do we start engaging with this product? Like, what do I need to do? So it all starts with a prompt. Prompt basically refers to a text-based natural language input that you can provide, which instructs Copilot for Security to generate a particular response. The quality of the response that Copilot for Security can return depends largely on the quality of the prompt itself. So in general, if you have a well-crafted prompt with clear, concise, and specific inputs, it'll lead to a more useful response by Copilot for Security. Now, when you craft a prompt, we need to ensure that we include 4 key elements in the prompt itself. Number one, the goal, which is what is the specific security-related information we need, the context, why we need this information, and how will we use this information, the expectation, which is the format or audience we want the response to be tailored to, the source, which is which particular plugin, what is the known information for that, or data source that we want Copilot to actually utilize. A few additional things to remember and consider are be specific, be clear, and be concise as much as we can for what we want to achieve. To reiterate, when you get responses with subsequent prompts, you can either clarify and ask what you need, or you can try different versions of the prompt itself to actually get closer to what you're looking for. And with that, I also want to call out that we need to directly address Copilot for Security as you should or you must, as this is very much effective in getting specific, clear responses. Next, let's talk about Promptbooks, which are going to allow you to build repeatable prompts so that you can start leveraging and harnessing the power of automation capabilities of Copilot and deliver on to various different requirements. Mamta, if you could please move to the next slide. So let's talk about Promptbooks. Promptbooks in Microsoft Copilot for Security contain one or more prompts that have been put together to accomplish various different administrative or security-related tasks. They can run one prompt. They can run one prompt, or they can have more than one prompt. Run one prompt after the other, building on the previous responses. What does that mean? This means that you no longer have to type every single prompt manually or execute them individually. It saves you valuable time and effort and helps you focus on more creative aspects of your work. Promptbook also brings together a lot of high value information, right, from multiple products, and it helps you drill into nuanced details from within a single product, depending upon the different workflows that you may have. And you'll see a lot more of this in the examples that follow, which will make it way more clear. And Promptbooks also introduces various different advanced concepts and workflows to different operators who may not necessarily be aware or understand those product and its capabilities. Move to the next slide, please. Thank you, Mamta. So finally, what are the requirements for using Promptbooks? We'll go over some of these. We'll walk you through the capabilities. But essentially, you need to ensure that you've got Copilot for security turned on. You want to ensure that you have the appropriate roles and you have specific plugins enabled. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Mamta to showcase how do we create a particular prompt book. Thank you, Mamta. Over to you.
Thank you, Amit. Now that Amit has shared how to write really good prompts and how to get good responses, let's dive into creating your own prompt book. So we've heard from some customers, hey, this is all great, but what is a prompt book? So often we've heard that you need to run a sequence of tasks or prompts on a daily basis or a recurring basis. Should you write prompts every single day? Definitely not. For this, you can create your own prompt book. So first, run your prompts so you have an existing session. Once you have an existing session, select the prompts that you want to include in your recurring analysis or investigation that you'll do on a recurring basis. After you select the prompts, you will see that blue Create Prompt Book button up top light up. Click on the blue button up top to create the prompt book. Give it a name, tags, and a description so you can easily find it later. You can also tweak the text in the prompts using the edit button, as well as reorder prompts to suit your recurring use case. Now, based on your use case, you might want to define a parameter as an input. Example, in this screen, you can see that I have replaced Silk Typhoon that we showed in the previous screens with the word threat actor in triangular brackets. This makes it an input. And then you can automatically see that Copilot for Security pulls up this input and lists it as an input below the last prompt. And finally, control access to the prompt book to just you or to anyone in your organization. Done. There you have it, your very own prompt book. Here's our documentation if you need more information on how to build your own prompt books. Now, let's consider a scenario where an IT professional or SOC analyst wants to assess their security posture. So they need to monitor account security, receive alerts for unusual account activity, track device anomalies, identify unusual user behavior, detect account misconfigurations, ensure users have the appropriate roles to perform their jobs effectively and be productive, and much more. So let's dive into this example. In this demo, we will show you one of our global prompt books that will ship soon. It's called Microsoft User Analysis, that an IT admin can use to analyze and get a closer look into users in your directory. You can use this prompt book to analyze users that are either members or guest users in the tenant. Using this prompt book, we can get detailed analysis on any user. This includes sign-in and authentication data from Entra, device information from Intune, unusual activity details from Purview, and a Defender summary highlighting important detections. Today, we will give you a walkthrough of one of our global cross-product prompt books, Microsoft User Analysis, that an IT admin can use to analyze and get a closer look into users in their directory. You can use this prompt book for both members and guest users in your tenant. This includes sign-in and authentication data from Entra, device information from Intune, unusual activity details from Purview, and a Defender summary highlighting important detections. Let's understand roles and permissions you require for Copilot to look up information. Copilot for Security runs under the context of the user running it, and prompt books are no different. For this prompt book, you need to activate Global Reader role for Entra, Security Reader role for the Entra, Intune, and Defender prompts, and Insider Risk Management, Investigator, or Analyst role for the Purview prompts. This prompt book contains 8 prompts across 4 solutions. Our intent is to empower the admin to see a full picture of a user across our Microsoft security products. For this prompt book, you will need to enter the user UPN and the duration. We will use the user UPN for Natasha David, and we will use the duration of 14 days. Let's dive into the first prompt. Tell me about the user. Natasha is a remote employee in our sales department at Woodgrove. She joined our company earlier this year. I can see her job title, department, as well as both her business and mobile phone numbers. Here's a direct link to the user management page for more details. I can also share the session link of this prompt book with my teammates for further investigation. We can also open up the Entra user management page to dive deeper. Let's dive into the second prompt. What devices are associated with the above user? This prompt lists her Intune managed devices. In this case, her device shows a non-compliant status. This is because the device is not meeting the required criteria for the policy Defender for Endpoint Device Risk. This may block Natasha from accessing certain resources due to conditional access policy and hamper her productivity. The prompt output also provides a direct link to the Intune portal. Using this link, I can see this device failed the second policy. Prompt books make data access more streamlined, and it makes us more efficient by reducing the need for multiple clicks across various blades to just a single click on Run. Instead of opening the Intune portal, searching for Natasha under troubleshooting, and navigating to the device information, you get the same details instantly. The third prompt talks about show me the last login for the above user during the last 14 days. Natasha's last sign-in was yesterday, and it was a failed attempt. Looks like she tried to log in from San Angelo, Texas, using the Firefox browser on her Windows 10 device to access her work email. We want to ensure our users have strong authentication methods set up. Let's look at the next prompt. What authentication methods are set up for this user? Natasha has 3 authentication methods in place. A password that she last updated yesterday, the Microsoft Authenticator app on her phone, and Windows Hello for Business. We can verify all this information through the direct link at the bottom of this prompt. With the strong authentication methods in place, let's now check for any unusual or failed login activity for Natasha. This next prompt reveals failed sign-in attempts for Natasha from San Angelo, Texas, Germany, and Mentor, Ohio, and also provides the failure reason. In case her account was compromised, Natasha's strong authentication methods ensure that her account remains secure. As an admin, it's reassuring to see that when malicious users attempt to access our users' accounts, they are blocked. In the Entra portal, we can see these sign-ins here and for the user filter to find failed sign-ins. Now, with Copilot for Security, Promptbooks help us expedite repetitive investigations and save the time spent hopping across security products to get these insights. Let's review Natasha's activity in the audit logs. We can see that Natasha changed her password using password reset. The logs also provide insights into action an IT admin can take to improve the end user experience. Now for the bigger picture. I want to see if Natasha is engaging in any unusual activities with our Woodgrove resources. Our next prompt calls Purview to list her activities during the last 14 days. Copilot reveals Natasha was involved in sequential activities and exfiltration. I wonder what Natasha is up to here. Looks like she downloaded files from OneDrive, renamed files, and sent emails with attachments outside the organization. She further copied files to a USB drive. She mounted a USB device twice over the past few days. She is flagged for exfiltration. I need to investigate further to ensure there is no insider risk threat. Clicking on the references here, I can see the detailed view in the Purview portal. Next, let's look at the Defender Entity Summary for Natasha. The summary starts with the user's criticality level: low, medium, high, very high, or not set. This helps me interpret the criticality of the user and decide if adjustments are needed. Misconfigurations and login locations can occur due to inaccurate city or country settings. Highlighting these findings ensures compliance with geodata regulations. Copilot also sees that the actual location the user seems to have logged in from, such as Germany, is different from the user's configured location of Cleveland, United States. So it recommends that I check these locations to ensure they are legitimate. I can do that by using the contact information at the end of the summary with Natasha or her manager on whether she has been traveling to these locations. Next, the role changes section compares the job title and department to the assigned roles and identifies frequent role changes. Further insights on risks, devices, authentication, and supervisor details alert us to configure policies to strengthen our security posture and direct us to relevant personnel for further investigation. So that's our demo on the Global Promptbook Microsoft User Analysis. Handing over to you, Dana.
Thank you, Mamta. Thank you very much. So the Defender Identity Summary offers the same streamlined experience, whether you're working with the prompt book that we're talking about today or the Defender XDR portal. Let's dive and see how this tool can help you simplify your investigation and speed it up. Please feel free to jot down any, just a second, Mamta, please feel free to jot down any question as we go along, and we'll refer to it later. Mamta, can you please click? Thank you. Well, the Defender Summary pulls data from a variety of Microsoft security products, bringing you a comprehensive view of users' security posture and behavioral analysis. It is well structured, making it very easy to read, and its intuitive layout helps you to identify risks and anomalies within your investigation criteria. The next bullet talks about the actionable insights that it brings to you, such as misconfiguration fixes, uncommon login behavior, changes to roles and permissions, and spikes in connectivity, and a lot more. This is how the tool empowers your proactive security threat management. Talking about the last bullet, let's talk about a little bit about cost. Pay attention that although it consists of data from other products like Entra and Intune, there is no extra Copilot charge for their data within the Defender summary. The Copilot charges are only for the NDI data in this specific skill. Now, this is how it looks in the Defender, utilizing various aspects of Microsoft Defender for identities, such as network activities, user profile, activities, settings, or contact information. It also highlights the differences between devices the user has signed into, whether they are Intune managed or unmanaged devices, all in one convenient place. When available, you'll also see Entra risk assessment, and you can also assess the user criticality level. Based on the summary, you can decide whether to update this level to a higher criticality level or a lower one. This helps you prioritize your attention and allocate analysis resources effectively. Note that the Defender portal offers you a 30 days summary, as you see in this screenshot, while our prompt book gives you an offer to ask for identity summary for up to 120 days. Finally, I would like to ask you to take advantage of the free text, I would like to encourage you to take advantage of the free text feedback, as your inputs and questions are highly valued and will be addressed. Please remember that Microsoft prioritizes your privacy, so do not include any confidential or personal information. We want your feedback, not your phone number nor email. That brings us to the end of my part. Thank you for listening, and over to you, Patrick.
Thank you, Dana. So, as we've mentioned today, I want to kind of expand a little bit on that, or what I like to call the art of possible, right? So as you've seen, prompt books are a quick and easy way to automate some repetitive tasks and help you with an investigation, but they're not by any means the only way to do this, right? So in this section, I'm going to give you some additional ideas of how you might use Copilot for Security to help speed up an investigation and empower you or your customers to do more while working alongside Copilot for Security. So first, while we're not going to go deep into this session about this, Amit mentioned a little bit, we've got multiple solutions in this prompt book. You can see 4 of those solutions that Copilot for Security can work with, but we've got not only first-party, but also third-party plugins that you can expand and ask questions about to get a end-to-end view of what's going on with Copilot for Security. And these are just kind of out of the box, but it doesn't stop there, right? So Copilot for Security is really a platform that we allow you to bring your own plugins, your own skills, and expand on the capabilities of Copilot for Security using APIs, GPT, or KQL queries. And so we've got several of these examples that not only our team built, but also folks in the field have built on our GitHub site. And we'll share that GitHub site with you in this session. So a really great way to kind of expand and think on this. In addition to that, we're going to go in a little bit more and talk about logic apps, right? And how you can use logic apps to call into Copilot for Security to run a prompt or several prompts, or in our case, a whole prompt book, right? So really looking to use the logic that you have in those capabilities with the logic app to not only take what you're doing with Copilot for Security, but expand that to things outside of Copilot for Security. Maybe it's something like sending an email or updating a ticket or creating an e-discovery case that I'm working on a customer with right now. So let's take a look at what this might look like. All right, Manta, can you advance the slides? Seems like it. Great. So we've heard from you, from customers and customers that we've worked with about how can we leverage our prompt books to call into other tools for additional automation. You can do this with a Azure Logic app, and we're going to talk today about 2 examples that we're going to walk through. Now, this isn't by any means a full list of capabilities that you can do, but this is just kind of give you an idea to show you kind of what is possible, knowing that you can expand on this, right? And whatever your needs might be or whatever your customers' needs might be, you can expand on these capabilities, right? So our first scenario here is we've heard, hey, I want to create a automation capability, right? For all the folks that are on my VIP list, to automatically run this prompt book or any prompt book that we might have. And then at the end, summarize all that up and generate an email to send out, right? So that's one scenario. Another scenario might be, I want to create a ticket for an investigator if any of my users have administrative privileges and are flagged as a high-risk user, right? And so being able to take these business problems and solve these with a combination of Copilot for security, logic apps, calling different solutions is really what we want to show and highlight today. We can advance to the next slide. Let's take a look at this first one. So here on the scenario of I've got a VIP list of users and I want to automate the scenario a little bit, and then at the end send an email, right? So here we've got some steps. Again, this is pretty basic logic apps, but just kind of gives you an idea of what is possible with Copilot for security and logic apps. So we've got our first scenario up there where we're querying Microsoft Sentinel entity to identify who the user is and are they on a VIP list. And then we're making a call to Copilot for security. In this case, we're calling our prompt book that we've created here, our user analysis prompt book. And then we're adding an additional step on the end of that. So that's that submit a Copilot security prompt 9, right? So in that prompt, we're actually saying, hey, summarize all the information that we got from that prompt book, generate and parse through that in a JSON file, and then do a quick email to the admin in this case about what was found or what was discovered in that. So if we can advance to the next slide, let's take a look at what this actually looks like. So we're going to jump into a demo here. So in this demo, we are in Sentinel, and we've got a Sentinel incident here, and it's looking for us launching a script from a Linux device, right? And we can see this user is Natasha David. We can also see that she is on our VIP list in this case. So what we're going to do is we're going to go run a prompt book here, or run a playbook in this case. But this playbook is going to run an Azure function, a logic app. And this function is going to go and make a call to Copilot for security. So we've gone and we've run this. Let's take a look at what this actually looks like. So we've got this, it's going to run in the background. But if we look at the way the logic app is created here, we've got that first scenario where we're getting the entity of the user. We've got the logic going and calling Copilot for security twice, once to call the prompt book and then once to generate the summary. And then we're sending an email. So while this is running, right, this is running in the background, let's jump out to Copilot for security here, and let's actually take a look at what's happening, right? So this logic app is actually creating a session in Copilot for security, running that prompt book with all the prompts that we had, the 8 prompts going across Intune, Defender, Entra, Purview, and generating all this information. Now, once it's done, right, so this took about 10 minutes to run, but at the same time, while it took 10 minutes, I was able to go do something else, right? So I wasn't having to go to all those solutions to gather all this information. And now it's sent an email to the admin in this case with all the details that were generated as part of that session. I do recognize here that this maybe isn't the nicest format, right? And we could do some additional steps here with HTML to format this properly and make it nice. But the idea here isn't to like make it all nice and pretty in this demo, but to just get you thinking about what's possible and what you can do to expand on maybe what we have with prompt books or what you can do with prompts as you look to expand with like logic apps. So hopefully that was a good scenario. Let's jump into the next scenario here and talk a little bit about that. So in this next scenario, we've expanded on kind of that first scenario a little bit. We've got where we had sent an email, but in this case, we're going to investigate users that have admin privileges and flagged as high-risk users. And so we've got the same set of prompts, but in this case, we're actually making a call to ServiceNow to create a ServiceNow ticket in addition to emailing someone. So again, the options are kind of endless of what you can do within a Logic app as you're thinking about this, and combining this with Copilot for security to generate those prompts and those experiences to help really automate and work side by side with Copilot for security is really the value here. Yes, you could go do this manually, right, and log into multiple solutions, but we think that the real value here is being able to work with Copilot for security, work with these models to supplement some of those manual tasks that you had to run with Copilot for security. So with that, I'm going to pass things back off to Manta, and we're going to give some next steps. And
thank you, Patrick, Amit, and Dana. And Patrick, I hope when you send me an email, it does not look like that. In closing, we highly recommend that you try out Copilot for security, use the links here to onboard your tenant to Copilot for security, assign the appropriate roles, and try out the standalone experience. You can also try out the various embedded experience, some of the screenshots that Dana shared today. Try those out and try out our security products, Copilot for security in Entra, Intune, Purview, Defender, and more. We would also love to get your feedback. So please join the CCP community to learn more and share your valuable feedback as we continue to bring cutting edge updates to our technology. Now let's dive into Q&A. So who has the first question?
All right, Mamta. So first of all, thank you so much to Mamta, Amit, Patrick, and Dana for the incredible presentation this morning. It's amazing to see so much about Global Promptbooks. And I'm sure some folks watching this may be wondering, what's the best way to get started with Promptbooks?
Amit, you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to get started with Promptbook is actually to crack open the Copilot for Security console and leverage the Promptbook library experience from within the Copilot for Security standalone console itself. So go to securitycopilot.microsoft.com once you have the access and you have it turned on. Then move over from the hamburger menu, go to Promptbook libraries, and you'll be able to you'll start to see all of your Promptbooks. Now, also highlighting the fact that Mamta walked over saving your prompt into a particular Promptbook and then executing it from there on. You also have the ability to share those Promptbooks from within that console and give it to the other folks within the organization so they can execute that too.
Awesome, thank you for that. And I know that we've talked about so many of the amazing plugins, and thank you folks for spanning everything from Defender to Intune, Purview, and Entra. But does a Promptbook only have to call Microsoft solutions, or can it call something external?
Do you want to take that, Mamta?
Sure. So as Patrick was talking about some of the third party, he showed how in a Logic app you can call ServiceNow. So we have third party integrations as well. We have several partners that have worked with us, and we've worked very closely with them to put together some of these plugins. In addition, you can also write your own plugins. So for example, if you have a tool that you've built for your own organization, you can also write your own YAML custom plugins and have Copilot for security reason over that data. So yes, not just Microsoft security products, additional products, third party, as well as your own home-built security products.
Amazing. I'm so glad to hear it, since a lot of customers have a lot of products that are in their environment today. And so if I also am excited about Promptbooks, and Amit answered how I can get started, but if I want to change a Promptbook, or would I be able to modify something that's existing, or is this where I have to start from scratch and do it all myself?
Bailey, you want to take that? You work on this product.
I'm happy to take that. So it is something that you're able to modify. So I think that we showcase some of the examples that we have here. And if you want to go through and take something that's existing and change it to suit your individual business needs, that's a fantastic way of doing it. Is there anything else that I missed there that you wanted to add?
I think you got it all. We You can go create a prompt book. You can edit the prompt book. If you share it with people in your tenant, they can further edit the prompt books. So you can tailor it to whatever your workflow is. And yep, that's it.
What if I want to share some cool prompt books with the community? Is there a way for me to put them on my GitHub, for example, or share them out in another external way if I'm an MVP or somebody who has a blog where I want to showcase some cool Copilot capabilities?
Patrick, you want to take that one?
Yeah, you definitely can. And we've actually got some examples of this where we've created and shared some prompt books on our GitHub site. So I think we'll share the link there with the team and some blogs about how to do that. So
awesome. I love that community engagement. And I think this was also mentioned in your section as well, Patrick, when you were touching on the logic apps. So on the automation using logic apps, is there a separate charge in terms of licensing for running that logic app?
Yeah, so logic apps do have their own pricing model to run those. And we can share links about logic apps and pricing model, but it is separate from Copilot for security to run logic apps in your environment. So
good to know. Good to know. And then I know we talked about in the very beginning the prerequisites for running Copilot for security and running prompt books. So how do I know whether or not I have the RBAC permissions necessary to run a prompt book?
So when you actually execute upon the prompt book, and if you start seeing messages that you do not have the right level of permissions, that automatically tells you that you do not have specific permissions across to various different products, and you may want to ensure that you have at least the pre-required roles that are enabled for each of these different products. And of course, when you get into security.copilot.microsoft.com and try to execute stuff from there, if you have not been granted access to Copilot for security itself, you would see that message, and you would have to have somebody who's the owner for Copilot for security grant you access to the platform itself.
Fantastic. And how do I know what type of questions I can ask Copilot for security? I think it's really exciting to have this AI agent in my environment, but if I immediately want to think of every question under the sun that I could potentially ask, but some things are supported at this point in time and some things are coming. So what's the best way for me to know what's available today and what types of prompts and questions I can leverage within Copilot for security right now?
So I can take that one. Usually we try to do a very good job at public documentation because let's think of one security product. Let's think of Entra. Entra has over 1,000 things now. Of course, I want to ask Copilot for security each of those 1,000 questions. However, we are building things on a continuous basis. So our documentation indicates what is supported today and is the same for Intune, Purview, and Defender for identity. So check out our public documentation, and that will tell you what's supported and what's not.
I think that also ties into some of the feedback that you were showcasing earlier, that if there's a response that might not necessarily be a stellar response, sending us that feedback, but also it's valuable for us to understand what type of features you're looking for from Copilot for security. So also be sure to voice those. You guys all know who we are now. So that's fantastic as we continue to prioritize and make this product something that folks truly love and use on a regular basis. Another question about if I share session links with colleagues, do they all need to have the same RBAC permissions as me? Or can they still see the response without needing all of those permissions?
Amit, you want to take that one on RBAC?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anybody. So one thing I wanted to sort of call out, and I think we did that somewhere earlier as well in the conversation, is anybody who's interacting with Copilot for security across various different Microsoft products does not necessarily automatically, I'm going to use the term automatically, gain access to Defender or to Purview or to Entra just because they've been granted access to Copilot for security, right? So using those principles and keeping them in mind, regardless of who the persona is, if they're interacting with various different prompts and capabilities from within Copilot for security, it is imperative that they are granted appropriate access. So to be very specific on that question and answering that, yes, if you have a colleague who's been leveraging your prompt book and executing it, they would also need to be granted similar access to both execute the prompt books or execute prompts and be able to seek answers for their prompts from various different Microsoft 365 products.
Fantastic point, Amit. I'll also add, typically when I explain to customers about Copilot for security and the data it has access to, I explain it that when you're flying a plane and you have a Copilot by your side, they're only able to see and have access to the controls that are physically in that plane with you. So everything that I, as a user, have the permissions to do, then Copilot for security carries those same permissions. So if your colleague you share that prompt book with perhaps has fewer permissions than you, they may get a different response based off of that lesser privilege, which is part of the nature of us all going least privilege and being sure to cut down on those permission set. Last question that I have for y'all today is on writing prompts. So I know some folks are excited about some specific plugins. They may want to leverage those instead of a default plugin. So is there a way that I can call upon a specific plugin when I am writing those Copilot for security prompts?
Yeah, I can take this one. I think there's a couple different ways that we see folks be able to call specific prompts, right, or specific skills or plugins that they want. The first way is when you're working within Copilot for security, you can toggle on or off per user which plugins are available, right? So that's one way. It's kind of like that big global control where you can say, hey, I only want to call Entra skills today, right? So I can turn off all the other plugins. Another way that you can do that is with the way that you prompt, right? So if you know you want to call Purview, for example, to get a response, you can specify based on Purview, give me the user risk, for example, right? And then the orchestrator will know to call the Purview skills. And then there's a third way, right? So as you're working within prompts, there's actually an option. It's the backslash will bring up some prompts that you can review and then select the prompt that you want, choosing the skills already associated with that, and then provide, it'll actually give you, hey, here's the optional steps for this, here's the required details that I need, and then you can run that. So 3 ways right there that you can kind of scope or help scope your prompts to choose certain plugins.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I know that we covered quite a lot of ground, and it's fantastic to see all of the exciting stuff coming out of Copilot for security. I do want to wrap up here, and perhaps we can talk about some upcoming shows that we have for the month of October. So coming up very soon, in 2 weeks, we're going to be having an SSE or Security Service Edge related session. That's on October 16th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So a slight adjustment from our normal time frames that we usually do 425 shows at. And then at the very end on Halloween Eve on October 30th, we're going to be talking about going zero trust in a practical way. And that's also going to be something that's a fantastic cross-product conversation from Entra folks, Intune folks, and a few other product areas as well. So really excited for everyone joining us. And if you have a show idea that you would like to see from the Microsoft security team, please do not hesitate to reach out and let us know what we're going to talk about. Oh, and I believe that there is a slide that we have that we wanted to end off. And so apologies there if I did cut off the Copilot team. Was there something else that folks wanted to add in as a visual at the very end?
No, I think it was just a thank you slide, Bailey. We want to thank everyone for joining us today.
Awesome. Well, then I'll audibly say thank you for everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful having so many guests. Jamie, would you like to send us off?
Absolutely. Thank you, Bailey, Mamta, Amit, Dana, and Patrick for your presentation on today's topic. Thank you all for joining us on today's webinar, and we really hope to see you next time. Goodbye.